Okay, thank you, Somto. So good morning, everyone. So my name is Ukwudi, like Somto has said, Ukwudi Ogbeche, and I'm the training coordinator for One Precious Life Academy. Now, One Precious Life Academy is an NGO, and we are targeted at upscaling and upskilling construction workers in Nigeria. So last year, we had the pilot phase of the Tradesman Empowerment Program. In this program, what we do as a replicator and what we learned from you helped us in designing our curriculum. We actually took that from Wave Academy. And so that curriculum consists of communication skills, emotional intelligence, critical thinking and problem solving, leadership and ethics, as well as client or customer service or customer experience management. In addition to that, we also have entrepreneurship. We have the computer literacy, and then we have a series of technical master classes. This program runs for about a month, and during the course of this month, the technical master class involves us inviting industry experts who come to talk to them about what is obtainable in the industry at that particular time. So we would say that basically teaching them the technical skills exactly that they need, but they just talk about what is obtainable. Now let me just backtrack a little bit to how we start the program. Before we start this program, which is actually run for free, we carry out an information session. We need to select the people that come into this program. And how do we do that? We partner with various technical colleges and other organizations or other institutions that we feel have the people that we are targeting. And we go there and we carry out an information session. Now this information session is basically just to tell them what the program is about and find out people who are actually interested and people who are not interested. Now people who are interested are now passed through an interview process. This process is to check for people who can actually read and write, so that when they pass through the training program, they can actually participate and take out learnings from the program. So that is why we carry out those programs. The information session and the interview process. Now, because the program is run for free, we want to be able to bring in people that are actually going to be following through with this program to the end, and people that we think actually need this, and people that we feel are passionate enough and will stick to the program. So, during the course of this program, of course, there are certain things we set out to achieve by the time we get to the end of the program. We want people who graduate from the class to be more emotionally sound, to be able to communicate effectively, to be able to think critically and outside the box, not always waiting to be told what to do. We want people who can relate with customers and not drive away their customers. True customer service can bring in customers. We want people who can go out there and basically be brand ambassadors of OPL Academy and showcase us in a good light. So the Tradesman Empowerment Program is like a cycle, like I mentioned. So we start from the information session and interview session into the training, which lasts for about a month, and then is completed with the apprenticeship program. Now the apprenticeship program is where they now go to practice some of the skills that they've learned, be it in school and in OPL, in the real world. And this program runs for about a month to 3 months. After which the employer can decide after the apprenticeship program to either keep the participants or let them go. If the partner decides to keep them, that's great. When the the partner decides to let them go, they are returned back into OPL school, and then whenever we see job opportunities, we send them to those places. So that's how the Tradesman Empowerment Program basically runs. Now this program is run for free. Every month, every week, we give them a stipend of 4,000 naira, because we found out that most times the people who enroll for this program cannot actually afford it. And sometimes the distance and the location to the venue is quite challenging for them. So we support them with the 4,000 naira for transportation and feeding. And then during the apprenticeship program, the first 1 month, they are supported with 10,000 naira. After which, if the apprenticeship program continues, we no longer support them with the 10,000 naira, but the employer is informed that look, the 10,000 naira stipend is no longer coming in, so you may need to upskill or increase the amount that is being paid to them to be able to support them to complete the apprenticeship program. So in a nutshell, that's how the Tradesman Empowerment Program runs. Last year, we carried out the pilot phase, and we were able to train about 100 people, give or take, and they consisted of the plumbers, electricians, the masons, and the carpenters. After, at the completion of the program last year, we were able to place about 80% of them in jobs, apprenticeship placements, and then about 30% of them were retained on the jobs. The rest came back into the pool, and anytime we see jobs come up, we call them, they go for interviews, and if they are successful, they do the job, but basically mostly contract jobs. So, but about 30% have been kept on full-time jobs or contract jobs. So that's how it's been so far. I'll say our highlights for last year were the fact that we were able to train about 100 tradesmen. It was our pilot phase. Even though we were targeting to train about 120, we ended up training about 100. And then we were also able to get participants from the Tradesman Empowerment Program to sit for the City and Guild certification. Sorry, I forgot to mention, in the course of the program, we also give scholarships to the top 3 participants in class to write the City and Guild certification exam. So from every set, we take out 3 people. So we had 4, which is the plumbers, the electricians, masons, and carpenters. From each of these classes, we took out their top 3 participants and enrolled them free of charge for the City and Guild certification. So 12 of them last year wrote the exam in December. We are all awaiting the results anxiously, and it's supposed to come out in this month. So we are waiting for the results. Also, we also give awards to participants who conducted themselves properly. So we have like the Mr. XL or Mr. OPL or Mrs. OPL. This is someone who embodies the values of OPL, like punctuality, excellence, and all of that. We also had the most punctual, someone who was always coming to class very early. And then we also had the most willing to learn. Now, in the course of this program, we don't choose them. Their votes, and whoever comes up as the winner actually wins it. So even though we look out, and so far so good, the people they've chosen are people we actually agree with, right? But they choose who wins it. And so far, they've actually chosen people who actually deserve these awards. And the people who get these awards are given state-of-the-art toolkits for their trade. So they're given a toolbox, and that box contains a lot of tools that are required for them to function very well in that trade. Another highlight for us last year was the fact that we're able to partner with Bosch. I don't know if you know Bosch. Yeah. Yes, we're able to partner with Bosch and to train our alumni. That's people who have passed through the programs on the use of power tools. This was something they were very excited about and loved, and I think we call that as a major win for us. And then, so basically, I think those are the major highlights for us last year. And the low lights, I would say, are, like I mentioned, we wanted to train 120, but we ended up training only 100. And the challenges were due to the fact that we just had our center. We don't have centers around Lagos. We just have one center, which is on Lagos Island. So the distance was posed a challenge because we had people who were interested coming in from Efe, accommodation issues, transportation challenges. All of these were some of the things that reduced the number of participation or made some people actually not complete the program at the end of the day. And then for OPL, I think as an organization, we were not really putting ourselves out there. That's advertising, social media, the news, showcasing all the things that we've done and letting people know that this is what we do. I don't think we really put ourselves out there. So that's one thing we're really hoping to achieve this year. Everything we do, we want to put it out there. Yes, and another major win, we received the recognition award. Yeah, but it was a major win for us. I mean, seeing that we just started our pilot season, we were really excited about it. So in a nutshell, I would say that's what OPL is about, and those are the challenges we experienced last year and the wins for us last year. This year, since last year was more like a pilot phase, we took some learnings from it, which we intend to, take forward to the new year. And we noticed that our selection method, in terms of selecting the people who come into the program, the pool from which we select from is quite limited. And the reason why we were going to technical colleges and speaking with all these people is because even before we went out there to get participants who enrolled in the program, we spoke to clients, found out what their needs were, what it is they were looking out for, the people they wanted to take in on apprenticeship program or even want to employ. And so that fed into the people we brought into the program, into our interview process, to ensure that people we are bringing in are people that will actually be able to get placed at the end of the day. So we really didn't tap into the informal sector. We're all about schools, academies, higher institutions. So this year we are looking to see how can we tap into the informal sector, because this sector we are tapping into is quite limited. As it stands, I'm even thinking, is it possible that we've almost exhausted? Because we went to all the technical colleges, went to academies, and we are like, okay, there are people out there, the informal sector, who actually have some of these skills. But we are looking out for, people who can read, people who can write. What about people who actually have the skills and have a little bit, can communicate a little and can write a little? What happens to these people? How do we bring them into the program? And so we are thinking of how to get in there. And one of the ways we are thinking of doing that is to see how we can get vetting partners. Because from school we are sure, you studied this, you can see your certificates, you studied building and technology, or you studied engineering. It kind of gives us an idea that you have a background in it. But for the people in the informal sector, basically, we saw you working there. How do we really know that you actually have the knowledge of this? And so we are looking for vetting partners, people who can actually vet these people and interview them, check them out to be sure that the people actually have the skills that they have. And then OPL Academy can now take it up from there to empower these people or train them on the soft skills and place them in jobs. So last year we did 100 and we are looking to do about 1,000 this year. Yes. So we believe we'll achieve that, because I think the construction industry is really large in Nigeria. So it's how to tap into the pool, especially the informal pool, and ensure that we are getting the best of the best from the pool.
Thank you.